I will teach you an almost unknown technique in self-improvement space that will skyrocket your self-improvement if you can just listen to what I'm saying carefully. For the past few days, I've been struggling to do my good habits consistently, such as uploading onto YouTube or doing my morning routine. And you can probably relate to this. I would start doing a good habit that would genuinely increase my happiness and productivity. And and maybe even quit some bad habit that I was doing. And I'd make some nice progress along the way, and I would kept going for a week, but yet like a week later, I'd snap back to my normal ways. And this would kind of frustrate me, but after a few days, I'd quickly realize that I wasn't going to the right direction, and I had to change my ways. So I'd slowly start to build my progress up again. I'd start my journaling and scheduling again. I'd start uploading onto YouTube and do my morning routine again, and snap back to my old ways. How many times have you experienced something like this? Something similar to this in your life? For me, the bad habits have always been YouTube and jacking off. These have been the two major bad habits that I feel miserable indulging in them. I feel miserable when I indulge in these two. So I've tried to quit them many times. What are your predictions as to what happened? I'd stop jacking off and stay away from YouTube for maybe a day or two, and snap back to my own ways. Oh, okay, but this was like a false start. I wasn't taking it serious. Okay, but now I know what to do. I'll take it seriously this time. 3-4 days, snap. Oh, okay, but no. I've watched videos now. I know it's bad for me. I know the consequences, and I'll never jack off again. And YouTube is shit for me. I can put my phone away. I can do this, and I'm gonna take it seriously, and snap back to indulging again. Time after time, this would happen. A lot of guys experience something similar to this. And I mean, what if you experienced this with? Maybe it's also jacking off like me, or maybe it's some drug you've tried to stay away from, but you just get pulled towards it. The self-improvement that we do here kind of feels like we're moving up against a rubber band, doesn't it? It kind of feels like we're not supposed to progress in this way, like it's unnatural for us to progress in this way. Like something is just holding us back. Meanwhile, when doing the bad habits, we're in our natural, normal state. So how do we change this? Well, there are two ways to self-improve, and we've probably been doing it wrong all along. So the first way to self-improve is that you can change everything about yourself in the real world. For example, you're gonna change your diet, you change your schedule, your routine, you change something in the real world that's affecting you. You set off your notifications or something like that. But when doing this kind of stuff, it always just resets and snaps back to your baseline, and you lose your consistency. Why? Why does it keep snapping back? Even though you do all this stuff to improve your life, and it genuinely is helping you and making you happy, why? Why is it that it's snapping back to this? Why is this our normal state? Why is it that the point that the band snaps back to is always this? Why can't it just snap back to a point where you're kind of in self, but no, it always snaps back to this. How do we change this natural state? Why is it that this is the natural state of a rubber band? And how do we change this? The point is not to change everything in the real world. The point is to change everything about the rubber band, the flexibility, the size, the color, whatever. It's to change the rubber band. The problem is not your habits. The problem is the rubber band. Your rubber band is flawed. It is still the band that symbolizes your loser-like self. The person you used to be before you even discovered self-improvement. That is what this symbolizes. This is your identity. This is how you still see yourself. I promise you that this is the most important self-improvement protocol you will ever find. There is no other technique, protocol, not monk mode, not anything as important as this. This will skyrocket and change everything. If you want the fast lane to consistently doing the good habits, if you want the fast lane to being a consistent self-improver, it is changing your identity. It is changing the beliefs you have about yourself. It is changing the rubber band. It's updating this. Because what happens is, when doing, so this is your baseline right here. This is your baseline. And so it's your natural state. It's this, it's that, it's this right here. So this is your baseline. So you'll try NoFap. So now try NoFap, and you'll watch like the content about it. The content is saying how if you're a NoFap, it's like your fucking whole bodily composition will morph into something else, and you're like, yes, finally all the women will want me. Finally, I'm not alone. Like something like that, and you're all hyped up because, oh my god, women are finally gonna want me if I do NoFap. So you got to start NoFap, okay, and NoFap, and day 1, day 2, day 3, and oh, okay, that was weird, but let's try it again. Okay, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, 5 up. You snap back. You snap back each time. Because over here, that's too good for you, buddy. You belong here. You belong down here. That's what your beliefs say about you. That's what your beliefs say to you when you're on improvement. When you're doing this, your beliefs are saying you don't belong here, you belong here. This is you. It's like you're stretching too far away from the core natural state of the rubber band. You're pulling and stretching too far. You're going somewhere that your natural self is not supposed to be. It's kind of like those, you know how in video games there are invisible walls? You will have like this area or this map, and you're not really supposed to go in this certain area, so it'll close this area off with invisible walls. It's kind of like this. You're going somewhere you're not supposed to go. It's like this area is locked for who you believe you are currently. So when going back to, this is NoFap, this is your baseline. It's not about this. It's not about increasing the NoFap, about increasing the thing in the real world. It's about increasing and updating this, your baseline. Because whatever your new baseline is, you'll always... It's difficult to explain. I'll explain further. Okay. Yeah, so... Because now this will be your baseline. This will be your natural state. It's actually the same. Let's take the rubber band again, the analogy of the rubber band. Let's say that the size of the rubber band is like the level of improvement you've done. So you can see that this is like a very tiny, tiny bands. But if we take a band that's bigger than this, your baseline, and so this is the baseline of band's loser, you have a bigger band. Because that band is bigger, the stretch of that band might be the exact same as the stretch of this one, but the size is bigger. So when you do snap back, your baseline will automatically be about the same as your stretch would be with your previous baseline. And that's exactly what we're going to do. It's about increasing the size of the rubber band, not about how far we try to stretch the rubber band, because it will break or snap back. But by increasing the size, we will be able to stretch it back more easily. With the nofap, it might sound insulting, but it is true. You still have the mindset of a fapper. You still believe that you struggle with quitting jacking off. You still hold the belief that you find it hard to stop, that you're addicted. You must understand that the beliefs you have about yourself and the identity you have will always loom over you like a dark cloud, no matter how much you change in the real world. If you change like your diet, but you still view yourself as fat, unhealthy or skinny, or whatever, or unhealthy mostly, you will snap back. You want to know the real way to fixing your diet forever? You really want to know how for the past months I have stayed consistent and I have had a mega healthy diet consistently for the past months. It wasn't trying out, it wasn't changing my diet that did that. It wasn't changing or experimenting new diets like fasting or keto or whatever that solved my tenacity and my joy in eating unhealthy shit. I'll give you a good example when it comes down to bad food. I used to love drinking Coke. Not just Coke, but any soda. So last year, 1 year ago, almost exactly, I was in Belgium and, but we went back to India. So we went back to India after being in Belgium on a vacation. And I'm back in Belgium right now. Hey. But so, in India, I drank the Coke in India. When we came back, first thing I did, back from the airport and everything, can of Coke in the fridge, drank some Coke, but I noticed that the Coke in India, because it's locally made, it doesn't taste the same. It tastes horrible. So I didn't like the taste of it, and I vowed to myself from that point that I wouldn't drink Coke until we came back to Belgium. So that when I drank Coke, it would have been worth it. And it was before my self-improvement, actually. So I discovered self-improvement, and from not drinking Coke, it suddenly went to not drinking any soda. So for months, I just drank water. Water. I drank water for months, just water, only water for months. I've been back in Belgium for over a month now. I still haven't drank any soda. And you know how that is? Why that is? It is because I set the belief for myself that I didn't care about soda. I didn't care about Coke and soda. I set the belief in my mind that I didn't even like the taste anymore. I have the belief in my mind right now that I don't actually even like the taste of Coke anymore. Whenever I see Coke and I have like kind of an urge to drink, I just immediately get like a sense of disgust. Like, I wouldn't even fucking like it. I only drink water. I set that belief for myself. I only drink water. And look at the results up until now. I just stopped caring about it. So if you really want to have a proper, consistent diet, you really want the mindset, there is one mindset I can give you. See yourself as an athlete. If you really want to stay consistent in your diet, from now on, view yourself as an athlete. Not just an athlete, but like, for example, an athlete who's intelligent and researches nutrition. I promise you that if you embrace this identity and these beliefs, you will not go back to consuming processed junk food anymore. For the past days, I've been seeing myself as a Giga Chad. I see myself as someone who is mindful, extremely disciplined, grateful, accountable, confident, and someone who enjoys doing the hard, painful work. And for the last 2 days, I've been convincing myself that I am this person. And up until now, I've convinced myself that I am this person, and without even trying, I've had near perfect or even perfect days for the last 2 days or up until now. And I love it. I love being this, productive. And the thing is, the more I love being this person, the more I believe I am this person. And the more I believe I am this person, the more I become this person, this vision. So what is it that you're missing out on? What is it that you're missing? This part might be a bit hard to process, but you need to understand this, because the beliefs and the identity that you have about yourself aren't even created by yourself. Let me just repeat that real quick. The beliefs and the identity that you have about yourself aren't even created by you. You did not create this rubber band, natural state version of yourself. You did not create this self-image. They were created by the outside world. I don't want to sound all conspiracy-like, but it's the educational system. It's your family, it's media, it's movies, it's TV, anime, female teachers that probably want to see you fail. And these are the people they created your identity and self-beliefs and beliefs. They aren't part of nature. They're purely nurture. These things have planted the seeds in your mind that you are this certain something. They planted the seeds about yourself, and out of those seeds grew roots that have taken over the entirety that you are. You were supposed to be an oak, and you became... I don't really know much about trees, but I don't know, but anyway, an orb, is that... whatever, something. Maybe you're sitting here right now and you're in disbelief, like, sure bro, okay, yeah, oh, well, I'm just gonna think I'm Giga Chad, I'm gonna become Giga Chad. Doesn't work like that, man. You must understand and listen very carefully, because it is so incredibly important for you to change the self-image that you have about yourself. And not just yourself, but about the world as well. Excuse me. So it is crucial that you change the belief you have about the world and yourself. I want to say this. There should be no beliefs in your mind that punch you down. There should be no beliefs in your mind that make you feel like a failure. There should be no beliefs in your mind that don't serve you. The belief that you're not going to make it. The belief that you're never going to be like Hamza. Only hold beliefs that make you stronger. That is a quote by Andrew Tate. Only have beliefs that make you stronger. Only have beliefs that serve you. I'm not going to say COVID-19 isn't real. But at one point, my entire family, so my parents and my sister, all had COVID-19. And at this point, I was very busy with self-belief. I already discovered it. I just saw something. I read something about it on I think it was like a chapter of cybernetics, and I just read something about it. So I was very busy with it. So my entire family at this point had COVID-19. And I had the belief at this point that I couldn't get sick. It was impossible for me to get sick. I can't. What do you think happened? I didn't get sick. You might say that's a coincidence, but even when at the point I had like a kind of drip nose or a cough, I didn't get sick. The same with mosquitoes. In India, a lot of mosquitoes. Sometimes I'd had a mosquito bite, but I convinced myself I don't feel the itch. Well, guess what? Normally I'd be scratching. I hated mosquito bites. Didn't scratch. You can say this is all coincidence, but at the point I believed in the fact that I didn't itch, that this didn't make me itch, or that I couldn't get sick, I didn't. It didn't. This is also called the placebo effect. Now, you've probably heard about the placebo effect, right? It's where we believe the treatment will cure us, it will help us and cure us, and so it will. But even if the characteristics of this treatment have an active effect on the body, but not on the condition being treated. So you'll have this belief that this will help you, even though the treatment doesn't have any active conditions on the treatment itself, but just an active condition on the body. But it still cures it. It's literally as simple as believing in yourself. I know it's like a cringe cliche line at this point. You might actually cringe about this and get PTSD flashbacks to Instagram quotes and posts talking about believe in yourself, and you know the cliche. But once you've reached a certain level of maturity, you'll realize that this phrase, the believe it phrase, is one of the most powerful phrases you can ever find. This is the most valuable knowledge that you can have. Believe in yourself. There have been actual studies, actual real-life studies that show the power of belief. That if I went in depth about all of them, you would not believe me. You would say that is impossible. That you're bullshitting. The power of belief goes beyond scientific data. The placebo effect alone can cure illnesses. Belief can cure illnesses. That shouldn't be physically, scientifically possible. Physically and scientifically, that should be impossible. A belief curing an illness isn't supposed to happen, but it does. There's a story about a cancer. I read this recently. I heard that one recently. There's a story about a cancer patient, a real story. And it's about how this cancer patient had a tumor in or on his head, growing, of course. And this was long ago, so the doctors didn't know that much about it. But at the time, so he went to the doctor and everything, specialist. And the doctor told this man that it wasn't that serious. It's nothing that serious. It isn't that bad. But he actually mistaked it. So he mistaked what he had, and then he later found out it was actually a tumor. But by saying those words to this man, a few weeks later, the tumor actually shrunk. Let me say this again. So the doctor told him that it wasn't that the thing on his head, it wasn't that serious, and the tumor, that it would just go away naturally, and the tumor began to shrink. A few weeks later, he'd tell him the truth. It was cancer, was serious, very hard to cure, like that, and the tumor suddenly started to grow again, and he eventually died from the cancer. That is the power of belief. That is the power of your identity. This stuff should be physically impossible. A belief can eliminate cancer. Just believing it can. A belief can eliminate cancer. If you can utilize this power properly, you can become a literal God. Stop wishing for superpowers. Stop wishing you had you have possibly the strongest superpower ever imaginable right here in the palm of your hands, in your mind actually. You can cure fucking cancer with this. But you're telling me that, this can eliminate cancer. But you're telling me that you couldn't use this power to just fix your diet for a week. To stop jerking off for a few days and just set the belief that you are an athlete and you don't do this kind of stuff. You're telling me that it's not powerful enough. It's powerful enough to kill cancer, not powerful enough for that. You don't realize how incredibly powerful this actually is. I mean, how powerful the power of belief is. There's another story, and this was a breakthrough scientific study about belief, actually. So in this study, they had two groups of people, they had the participants, and they had two milkshakes. So they had one milkshake, and one milkshake was, very healthy, high in protein, very nutritious, and all that stuff. The other shake, unhealthy, a lot of calories, fats, all that stuff, just very unhealthy. So they let the two groups drink the calories, and the one group, naturally, of course, who drank the milkshake with more calories, that they saw on the statistics that they consume more calories, their consumed calorie levels were higher, and the one who drank the healthy shake had the effects of a healthy shake that a healthy shake would have on you. What if I told you that, you probably guessed it, what if I told you that these two shakes were the exact same shake? These two shakes that both groups drank the same shake, but one group was just told they were drinking an unhealthy shake and they had the effects that an unhealthy shake would have on them. And the other group were told they had a healthy shake and they got the effects that an actual healthy shake would give them. The power of belief can literally, just believing can decide how many calories you take in. Believing can change certain things in your body that will affect your body differently. You can convince yourself of how many calories you're consuming. I know these examples sound outlandish and extreme, but if you can believe them, shouldn't you be taking this more seriously? Shouldn't you be grabbing a notebook straight after this video and start writing down about who you are, what your identity currently is? Because I did this. I tried to figure out what my identity is and more so, what's the core problem that gave me this identity? So 2 days ago I did this, and some of the things that you'll discover about yourself are just fucking sad. I, for example, believe that no matter what I did, I wouldn't improve. That I wouldn't influence anyone's life by doing this kind of stuff. That the community that I'm in currently, the communities I'm in, wouldn't even notice my absence. That I'd just never make it. So I tried to, and I asked myself, where do these beliefs come from? I wrote the story down properly. I'm gonna actually tell the story to you. So I asked myself where this came from, this belief. Many years ago, many years ago, in a far distant land. So many years ago, in primary school, there was a girl. Sounds like a high school drama, teenage drama opening. There was a girl, and I had 2 friends, so we were like a group of 3. So we were a group of 3, and there was this girl, and this girl I already knew. So at the age, I already had like sexual attraction to her at the age of 4. We both did to each other. We already like kissed. It's a big. That's not really actually. It's like 4 years old. You don't barely even know the concept of it. So it's just like something kids do, I guess. But I already had kind of some feelings for her, and I knew for a fact she also had some for me. So we were talking about something, and one thing led to another, and suddenly she responded to something someone in this group said. I don't know who anymore. She said, "Okay, I'll kiss. Out of this group of 3, I'll kiss the one who I'm attracted to the most." So we had to stand in like a row, and she had to pick the one she wanted to, kiss. And I was standing like, "Oh, she's gonna pick me, guys! Come on, we already kissed like 2 years ago. Come on, she's definitely gonna pick me." I was standing there all confidently like, "Oh yeah, no problem. We already have kind of a relationship, and I'm not saying I'm fucking Chris Hemsworth or anything, but I sure as hell ain't less attractive than these 2. So I'm tall as well. I'm taller than these 2. That's another halo effect factor. So hey, come on." I was confident. I was like, "Oh, come on, let's get this going." Of course, she didn't pick me. She picked my best friend at that point. But they needed something somewhere. I was fucking disappointed, of course. Already, I was kind of fuming. I was already getting these thoughts of, what the fuck? Okay, so am I really this bad? But they had to find a place to do this. So they went to another playground. There were like 2 playgrounds in the school, and they found a wall, but they needed like something to cover them up. So they needed someone to hold a jacket for them. Guess who got to hold that jacket? Oh, fuck. I got cocked, bro. I got fucking cocked at the age of like fucking 8 years old. So there I was, fucking being cocked live in 4K. And I was tall, as I said, so I was holding the jacket and they were kissing me, and I could fucking look down into this jacket. And that memory is one of my, whenever I thought of that, I don't anymore, but whenever I thought of that, I started fuming. I became enraged almost. Because that, not like, I wouldn't start flipping out or anything, but in my mind I'd start flipping out, because that's what set the belief for me that, am I really that bad of a person? Am I really that unattractive on any fundamental level? And even if I already have an attractive, actual intimate connection with this person, they still won't choose for me. They'll still choose for a person they barely spoke to before this point. Am I really that? Will I never get a girl? What do I have to do? to get women then. And of course, events after this happened that reinforced this event. And that set the belief for me that no matter what I do, I'll never be enough. No one will ever miss me. No one will ever really care about me. And again, this happened in the third year of primary school. This is how deep-rooted your beliefs and self-image are. Most of your beliefs and identity are formed in your early years of life. Like a single phrase said by your parents that they're disappointed in you, or they don't believe, something like that. A single phrase by your parents, or a single action that you took or saw being taken, can form these beliefs that you have this many years later. I'm 18 years old now. And this happened in third year of primary school. And these little things can form the belief you'll almost have for the rest of your life. But we can go back in time. We can go back in time to change these events, but we can try, or no, we can pull out the plant that is our identity. And just like with plants, we have to pull out the roots. And to plant new beliefs that serve us this time around, the way to do it is to forcefully plant and say words in your head, in your mind. Forcefully say positive things in your mind, because you have to realize that your brain was already used to the seeds that the world spreads. That sounds wrong, but the brain was already used to the seeds of belief you used to have, and thus you have to force these new seeds of belief in, because they don't quite have the same characteristics as the old seeds of belief you had. I hope you can understand this. So you have to force them to become your new baseline. Those new thoughts have to become, you have to force them to become your new baseline. And for this, I use two mindset techniques. So I'll quickly go over them. One of them I call Mr. Triumph. No, I didn't name them. I found them somewhere. I think it was Cybernetics as well, but it could be another book. You can research this. If you search this mindset, you'll probably find it. So it's called Mr. Triumph and Mr. Defeat. It's kind of like the devil and angel on your shoulder. A lot of the times you choose to be and talk to Mr. Defeat and let Mr. Defeat influence you. But now you have to look at it like when you're getting these kind of negative thoughts that don't serve you, Mr. Defeat is talking. And you kind of have to force Mr. Triumph out of its shell. You kind of have to I do this, like, hey, Mr. Triumph, what are we going to do? Oh, we're going to triumph, of course. That's the way to go. Let's triumph. I know but we have to be extreme. You have to be like fucking extreme with this, man. Another technique I use is, so that's the one you can use. And the other one I use is Bank Teller. Bank Teller. So, as I said, you'll go back to these kind of negative memories, negative thoughts. These are, a lot of the time, these will be these deep-rooted problems in your past. So instead of thinking about these negative memories, instead envision in your mind that you're like going up to a bank teller that keeps all your memories and go, hey, Mr. Bank Teller, give me a memory of when I was very disciplined at one time. Well, sure, Mr. Jens. Here's a memory of when you were super disciplined. Remember when you didn't really have to do that last lap of running? Yeah, you did it anyways. Here's another example. You remember that time when the bank teller will suddenly start to tell all these memories, these positive memories that you chose to now unlock. So these are two techniques, these fun little mind techniques. I love like little mindsets, and I use these two to enhance this. So ask yourself, which beliefs will serve you? Is it like the belief that you're very disciplined or you're an athlete? So figure out, write it down somewhere after this video. So ask yourself which beliefs will serve you personally, and use these techniques for them. So use the techniques to form these beliefs into your new baseline. But of course, thoughts also just pop up, as I said, randomly. You can't pull out Mr. Triumph or Bank Teller all the time. Sometimes if you're just writing something down, these bad boys will come up. And so you'll need something. So once again, you have to be extreme with this. So you'll need something that will remind you to think and force yourself to think positively all the time. So I, for example, right now, I draw every now and then. I draw little Giga Chads. They don't have to be well drawn or anything, but every now I just draw a Giga Chad to remind myself, oh, I am Giga Chad. Well, okay, of course I am. I'm very disciplined. I am. Remember when I did, and then I'll go back, Mr. Bank Teller, Mr. Triumph, and I'll be in a positive loop. You have to you have to be like a fucking insane, like you're in an insane asylum, like hang up these things on your wall. Yes, I am an athlete. Like you're fucking the Joker or something. Just hang this shit up your wall. You're literally just lying down, looking up. You're an athlete. I'm an athlete. Like, you have to be extreme with this. You have to force yourself and remind yourself constantly. And the more you do this, the more your pop-up thoughts, your random thoughts, will start to mimic these forced thoughts. And that will be a point where the more you have these, you'll more and more start to become this vision of yourself that you now have. So don't solely rely on the things that you change in the real world. What we need to do is search the core of our problems and change our identity. Now, two types of people can be watching this video. One of them is, just like, oh, I understand, everything makes sense. I'll get to it right now and I'll search this and okay, yeah, fine, of course. But the other one, this might be you, and this is not an insult because this used to be me. Oh, this used to be me. I used to be this myself, but there's another person watching this who might who has like the victim mindset. And once again, this is not an insult, but they have this victim mind. You have this victim mindset, and you actually kind of find it comforting to think like a victim and to think negatively, to force and to blame everything on the outside world instead of taking responsibility. Because if you do this, you find comfort in this because now you really don't have a reason to take responsibility because it's this and it's that, but it's never yourself. And once again, I don't blame you because I used to be this. I used to find immense comfort in thinking negatively. So if this is you and you can change your beliefs, just try it out. You don't have to believe everything I'm saying, but just try it out for yourself. If you can change your belief, and you're gonna grow. You're gonna grow, but it's gonna be uncomfortable at first. It's everything in self-improvement is gonna be uncomfortable at first. But that's just the way we do it as a Mr. Triumph. Take all this knowledge, and really, I'm not kidding you when I say that out of all the videos I'm going to post in the future, this is going to be the core. This is going to be the most important self-improvement video I'll probably ever make. Maybe I made it too early, but in terms of actual mental self-improvement, nothing will come close. So take this knowledge, implement it in your own way. Change your identity and your self-belief that you have. Actually search up some of these things and read Psycho-Cybernetics. Be extreme with this stuff and you will see the heights you will reach. Share this video around because a lot of people especially if you have friends in self-improvement struggling with like snapping back constantly, because almost everyone in self-improvement struggles with this. I can guarantee you that. So if you know a friend that struggles with this, share to them if you find this useful, or share the book Psycho-Cybernetics with them. I thank you for watching this, and so implement it in your own way. This was Tempest Vanguard once again. signing off. I'm Adonis. I am